I divorced my husband. 2 months later, I found out I was carrying his child. My name is Jessica. I'm 34. For 10 years, I was the wife of the man I loved more than life itself. Paul was 38. He wore a police uniform. I wore our shared dreams. A home, children, a future that never seemed to come. We waited for years. Every negative test felt like a funeral for hope. Every silence between us, another crack in the foundation. And one day, we gave up. I signed the papers with shaking hands. Moved into a small rented apartment. Learned how to breathe without him. Then, 2 pink lines. I was sitting on the cold bathroom floor, staring at a miracle that came too late. Life gave us what we prayed for, when we were no longer a family. I didn't know if I had the right to enter his life again. I didn't know if he would smile, or break. But I called him. I asked him to meet me for dinner at a small pizza place. My heart was pounding so loudly I thought he could hear it before I spoke. That night, I said the words, "Paul, I'm pregnant," and in that moment, a story began that would teach me something I never understood before. Sometimes love doesn't die, it waits.
Love Stories Max. Welcome to my channel. Enjoy watching, friends.
When Love Comes Back, with 2 pink lines. I'm 34, and 2 months ago, I signed the papers that ended my 10-year marriage to Paul. Paul was 38. He wore his police uniform with the same quiet strength he once used to carry me across the threshold of our first home. We got married young. We dreamed about kids, about a big kitchen table, about Sunday pancakes and noisy mornings. But years passed. There were no children. His job consumed him. Silence consumed us. Love doesn't disappear in a single moment. It just grows quieter, until one day you realize the room is silent. I moved into a small rented apartment with thin walls and a view of someone else's balcony. I didn't go back to my parents. I didn't want pity. I didn't want anyone watching me learn how to live again. And then I saw 2 pink lines. I was sitting on the cold bathroom floor, holding the test against my chest. My heart was pounding so loud I thought the neighbors could hear it. Pregnant, 2 months. We waited 10 years for this. And it happened after the divorce. I cried. Not from fear, not even from joy, just from the cruel poetry of timing. I didn't know how to tell him. I didn't know if I even had the right to knock on his life again. But this was his child too. My hands were shaking when I called. "Hi, Paul, can we meet? Just dinner. There's something important." We met at a small pizza place on the corner. The same one where we once celebrated our anniversary. The smell of warm dough and melted cheese wrapped around my anxiety. "Jessica, that's me." And I had never been this nervous in my life. He was in a good mood. Laughing, telling stories about new officers at work. For a second, it felt like we were us again. I stared at his hands. The familiar freckle near his thumb. And I wondered how to say something that might change everything. When the second pizza arrived, I took a deep breath. "Paul, I'm pregnant." The world didn't stop. Music kept playing. Someone laughed behind us. He froze. I saw surprise, fear, and something else. Something like hope. "How far?" he asked softly. 2 months. His shoulders trembled slightly. Then he smiled, the kind of smile I hadn't seen in years. "Jess, that's a miracle." He reached for my hand carefully, like I might disappear. "I'll be there, no matter what you decide. This is my child too. I'll help with everything. Everything. I don't know if our love will return. I don't know if we'll ever be a family again. But in that moment, I knew one thing. I wasn't alone anymore. And maybe, sometimes dreams come true not when we plan them, but when we've almost stopped believing. Everything changed in the 4th month. The doctor looked at the results for a long time before gently telling me I needed strict bed rest. No stress. No effort, just rest. I nodded, but fear flooded my chest. I had just started believing in this miracle, and suddenly I was terrified of losing it. When I told Paul, he didn't even let me finish. Paul simply said, "You're not doing anything anymore. I've got everything." And he meant it. He cooked breakfast even after night shifts. His omelets were too salty, his pancakes uneven, but they tasted like devotion. He cleaned the apartment like it was a sacred duty. He fluffed my pillows with ridiculous seriousness. Every morning he brought me tea, always in the same chipped mug. For the mother of my hero, he would whisper. He talked to my belly. A serious 38-year-old police officer leaning down and saying, "Hey, champ. Take care of mom. Dad's waiting for you." When he started renovating the nursery, something inside me softened completely. The smell of paint, dust on his t-shirt, the way he stood back to admire the pale blue walls. "Too classic?" he asked. I looked at him and realized, this was the man I fell in love with. Only softer, deeper, kinder. We didn't officially get back together. We didn't make dramatic promises. But at night, he lay beside me with his hand resting on my stomach, and together we listened to the quiet rhythm of our son's heartbeat. And with it, our love started beating again. Days turned into weeks, weeks into months. Then labor came. The pain was overwhelming, wave after wave stealing my breath. I squeezed his hand so hard I'm sure it hurt. But he never let go. "I'm here, Jess. Look at me. You're the strongest woman I know." And then, a cry. Our son's cry filled the room. They placed him on my chest, warm, tiny, perfect. Paul stood beside us, tears streaming down his face. "He's beautiful," he whispered. "He's beautiful." He suggested the name Anthony, after his late father. I was exhausted, trembling, overwhelmed with love. I swallowed and whispered, "Yes, Anthony." When Paul kissed my forehead, I understood something profound. Sometimes love doesn't come back the way it was. It comes back stronger. Because now it wasn't just built on dreams. It was built on a child. On forgiveness. On choosing each other again. On Anthony. And on a new beginning for all three of us. 6 months after Anthony was born, we got married again. There was no grand hall. No huge guest list. Just the people who truly mattered, and our baby boy sleeping in my arms in a tiny light-colored suit. Paul stood in front of me in a simple navy suit. I could see his nervousness in the way he flexed his fingers, but his eyes were shining. "I choose you again," he said softly. "And this time, I know how to protect what we have." When he took Anthony into his arms after the ceremony and kissed his soft hair, my heart felt like it might burst. Anthony gripped Paul's finger tightly, as if he instinctively knew this was his safe place. Paul became an extraordinary father. He woke up at night even before I did. He warmed bottles, hummed tuneless lullabies, walked endless circles around the living room. He wore Anthony in a baby carrier while cooking dinner and seriously explained the difference between a patrol car and a fire truck. Every Sunday they had missions, which really meant trips to the park. Paul would toss him gently into the air, laughing loudly, completely unguarded. I would watch them from the kitchen window and think, we made it. 2 years later, I saw those 2 pink lines again. This time, I didn't cry from fear. I laughed. Paul wrapped me in his arms and whispered, "We've done this before. I'm here." And he was. The tea in the mornings. His hand resting on my belly at night. The slightly too salty omelets. "Hey there, little one," he'd murmur. "Your big brother is waiting for you." When our second son was born, Paul was by my side again, steady, strong, unshakable. A cry, warmth, tears. "He's beautiful," he said, just like the first time. We named him Henry. Anthony looked at his baby brother very seriously and asked, "Is he ours?" I laughed through tears. Our house became louder. Toys everywhere. 2 cribs. Tiny socks that mysteriously disappear. But along with the chaos came something even stronger, peace. Paul reads bedtime stories using different voices. He carries Henry while teaching Anthony how to tie his shoes. He kisses my forehead in the kitchen while soup simmers on the stove. Our love is different now. Not loud like it was in our 20s. But deeper, warmer, steadier. Happiness lives in our home. And every night, when I watch my 3 boys sleeping under the same roof, I know we were given a second chance. And we chose each other again. Sometimes I wake up before everyone else. The house is still quiet. I hear the soft breathing of the boys from their room and the gentle creak of the floor as I walk to the kitchen. I put the kettle on and just stand there for a moment. Once, I stood in a small rented apartment afraid of the future. Now, I stand in our home, and there is no fear in me. Paul still wakes before his alarm. I feel him gently pulling the blanket over me if it slips. Sometimes I pretend to sleep just to feel that tenderness a little longer. He changed, I changed. We learned how to speak before silence builds walls. We learned how to listen. How to hold each other even when we're tired. Anthony runs around the house with a toy police car, proudly announcing he'll be, like Dad, but also a superhero. Henry laughs in a way that fills every corner of the house. He falls asleep holding Paul's finger, just like his brother once did. Our home is never perfectly clean. There are drawings on the table, toy cars on the couch. But there's something in the air that wasn't there before, peace. Sometimes Paul and I sit on the porch after the boys fall asleep. He holds my hand the same way he did in that pizza place when I told him I was pregnant. "Thank you for calling me that day," he says quietly. And I think about how close we were to losing everything. How easy it would have been not to make that call. How easy it would have been to let pride win. Love isn't always loud. And it isn't always easy. Sometimes it's an omelette at 6 in the morning. A freshly painted nursery. A hand that doesn't let go during labor. A decision to stay. When I look at my sons, I realize something beautiful. They were born not only from love, but from forgiveness. And if someone ever asks me when I was happiest, I won't say, on our wedding day, or, the day my children were born. I'll say, the moment we learned how to be a family again. Thank you for watching. Subscribe to my channel so you don't miss new stories. And also write in the comments how you liked this story on a scale of 1 to 5. Watch the following video and enjoy watching.